At the beginning of an offseason, it's crucial for a front office to evaluate their team's play on the field and figure out what their biggest needs are and how they're going to address those so they can improve their team the most possible before the beginning of next season. We see this year in and year out. The teams that make and follow a good plan tend to keep being good, and the teams that don't have a fucking clue what they're doing and just throw money around end up being the Colorado Rockies. Still don't understand that Chris Bryant contract. But see, we're smart baseball fans. Or at least we pretend to be. So what we're gonna do is go division by division in a new series on this channel here, and we're gonna look at each team and figure out not only their biggest need, but how they're going to address that this offseason. And we are gonna start this series out all the way in the AL West. But before we get to that, like the video and make sure that you subscribe to the page because we're gonna drop a whole bunch of baseball content on here, including this entire series, and I know you don't wanna miss out on that. All right, so first, let's take a look at the Houston Astros, and just right off the bat, across the board, they really don't have a whole lot of holes on this team. The only spots that I could really find, because stats-wise, they're ridiculous, was by wins above average on Baseball Reference. They were pretty low in catching, first base, and center field. Now, Justin Verlander is going to be a free agent this offseason, but he's 39, and despite the fact that he's probably winning the Cy Young, they have a ton of young starting pitching. They're gonna be fine without him. Chas McCormick had a 110 OPS plus and a 114 WRC plus this year. If he can be even like a tick below that, I think that's fine in center field. So really it kind of comes down to either catcher or first base, and trying to get more value out of catcher is going to be tougher. So let's see what we can find there, because Martin Maldonado had a 69 OPS plus and a 70 WRC plus. I know he's more of a defensive catcher, but God, you hope that you can try to get a little more offensive value out of that spot. Now, their number 3 and number 7 prospects are both catchers and debuted this year. So, I mean, potentially there's some options there, but then there's always free agency, and God, of course, Wilson Contreras becomes a free agent this offseason, and wouldn't it just be the Astros' way of always being a pain in the ass to sign the top catcher when they fucking need catching? All right, next up, let's take a look at the Angels, who don't really have a whole lot of big free agents, but they do have some needs across the board here. In terms of wins above average, the Angels ranked 30th at catcher, 28th at first, 29th at third, and 28th in left field. So kinda, yeah, they could use some help. Now, despite all the shit that they got for how bad their pitching was, and then their total overreaction of just drafting like all pitchers, they actually weren't that bad at pitching this year. Offensively is where they can use some help. And I know what I just said about those positions, but I think where we're going to try to improve the Angels is actually at shortstop. The Angels ranked 25th in runs per game this year, probably because they were ranked 26th in on-base percentage. If you're not getting on base, you're not going to score. So how we're going to try to address this is, first of all, we got to do something about this dead last strikeout percentage. And if we can improve their 23rd ranked walk rate at the same time, that's only a bonus. Now, we could try to do this at left field, but I think there's more room for improvement at shortstop because Andrew Velasquez posted a 53 OPS plus and a 50 WRC plus this season. So that's just bad. Now, he's good defensively, so keep him around as a defensive sub. But the Angels' number 2, 5, 8, 13, 15, 19, and 20 prospects are all listed as at least being able to play shortstop, let alone we have a big shortstop free agent class this offseason. Do something to improve this position, please. Speaking of doing anything to improve, where the fuck do we even start with the Oakland A's? Okay. There is just about nothing on this team. So we get to start from a totally blank slate. All right, now I don't know about you. This is probably me just being a weird GME type stat head baseball nerd. But one of my favorite things to do in MLB The Show franchise is to start with the absolute worst teams and completely rebuild them. And that's the Oakland A's, who are at the bottom in wins above average in starting pitching, third base, outfield just in general, and DH. And we're also bad at on base, slugging, OPS, OPS plus, ISO, home run percentage, walks per... You get the fucking clue. Now, when you're starting with a team where you're just stripping everything down to the seams and you're completely starting over, that starts with the foundation. And I think the foundation for a team, maybe I'm wrong, tell me if you think I'm wrong, but to me, it's your pitching, and especially your starting pitching, which they were ranked 28th in wins above average, and their pitching in general was 29th in ERA plus and 27th in fielding independent pitching. Now this team is nowhere fucking near adding any kind of top free agent talent to improve this roster. It'd literally be polishing a turd. The turd that is the Coliseum at this point. Can you guys please fucking get them a new stadium? That's besides the point. The main point is that their number 2, 9, 11, 18, and 24 prospects are all pitchers that are estimated to debut by 2023. So where we're going to start with this team is you need to just develop these young arms that you have. Get some kind of a solid major league rotation and go from there. We can see whatever the fuck else develops over that time. All right, we're shaking off the bad vibes, and now we are going up to Seattle, where it is good vibes only, baby. Seattle has a handful of free agents this offseason that had significant roles on this team. DH Carlos Santana, second baseman Adam Frazier, and right fielder Mitch Haniger. But where they really struggled in terms of wins above average was second base and left field. Now there's some options already in the organization for the outfield. You have former prospects Taylor Trammell and Jared Kelenic, along with former Rookie of the Year Kyle Lewis if he can manage to stay healthy. So I think the spot that we really have to address is going to be this middle infield. The second base position ranked 25th in wins above average, and JP Crawford at shortstop was pretty much average. So when we look at this team, which offensively basically relied on taking their walks and then trying to drop fucking bombs, and that resulted in a good handful of strikeouts, this team needs a middle infielder that's not going to strike out, that's going to put the ball in play. Now the Mariners don't have this guy in their organization already. They really don't have a lot of middle infield prospects, and especially ones that are near the major league level. So they're going to go out and get somebody, whether that's through a trade, or I think ideally you go and sign one of the top shortstops this offseason, and whether you bump them to second if they're willing, or you move JP Crawford to second, because his advanced fielding numbers weren't super favorable to him this year. So I think moving him to second is going to be the better option. And now we get to the Texas Rangers, who, when you look at the weaknesses on this team, and especially when you look at their biggest free agent, starting pitcher Martin Perez, that's where we need to start, is right there in the rotation. The Rangers' rotation ranked 25th in wins above average, and their pitching as a whole was 23rd in ERA plus, 22nd in fielding independent pitching, and where we're mainly going to start is we got to do something about this 29th ranked walk percentage for their pitchers. Martin Perez was their only starter to have an ERA plus of 100 or better. He was literally the only average pitcher on this staff, let alone the fact that he was really good. So we cannot let him leave, and we need to bring in more guys who are not going to give up walks and who can actually be solid pitchers in this rotation. Now there's always free agent arms out there, so that's always an option. But along with this, the Rangers' 2nd, 4th, 10th, 13th, 16th, 23rd, 25th, and 28th ranked prospects are all pitchers that are estimated to be in the majors by 2023. So hopefully some of those hit. No matter how good a team is, there's always room for improvement, and especially for the really fucking bad ones. So this is how we would improve the AL West, and we're going to continue through this series going over every team throughout baseball division by division. But for now, drop a comment down below and let me know, how would you improve the teams in the AL West? And if you made it this far, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you didn't, I don't know what the fuck you're still doing here, you sadist, but like the video, subscribe to the page to make sure you stay up to date throughout this whole series, and as we continue to drop a whole bunch of different baseball content. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Have an awesome day. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.